Okay, I'm on here tonight talking about the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Passover, and Leavening. Because on the 22nd, and the reason, so Passover basically starts 14 days after the start of the new year. The new moon signals the new year, and that was April 8th, and that was the beginning of the new year. So 14 days after that is the 22nd, so that begins Passover. Passover is when Yeshua, Jesus, took the apostles and had communion with them on the night of his betrayal, where Judas betrayed him, and they took him and judged him and all that good stuff. So he went through that, and then I think it's the next day that he was crucified. I don't think he was crucified on that day, but it does say that he spent 3 days and 3 nights in the wherever he was. But the day after Passover starts the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and Passover is also in reference to several different things. In Egypt, God called the Israelites to sacrifice a spot without, or a lamb without spot, and put the blood on the doorposts. And so they did that, and also they had a system where they had a sacrificial lamb in order to enter the Holy of Holies. So stop. And so there was a lamb that was sacrificed in order to go to the Holy of Holies, and so that was considered the Passover lamb, because one was sacrificed and one was let go, I believe. And so the Feast of Unleavened Bread starts the day after and goes 7 days. And basically what you're supposed to do, so Exodus 12:15, it says, 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall remove leaven from your houses, otherwise be cut off from Israel. And also Exodus 34:25 says, you shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, or shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover be left until morn. So there's a feast that happens on Passover, and it shouldn't be left until morning. This is the true, Easter is not in the Bible. It's a false celebration, and one that should not be recognized or even looked at. The Passover is the feast of the Lord, and unleavened bread. And so the Feast of Unleavened Bread starts, I believe, the 23rd, and so it's the 23rd through the 30th of April. And basically what it is you're not supposed to have anything with leavening in it, and you're supposed to get rid of leavening out of your house. And later on, and you'll see, but leavening is also sin in your life, because it says Luke and Matthew and 1 Corinthians all talk about leavening, and we'll go into that in just a little while. But leavening can be very bad. And unleavened, nabmates, which is ferment, figuratively, it's eaten. It's extortion, ferment or extortion. Sorry, there's a lot going on. And there's another one that was Hamas. So Hamas is, when I looked it up, this was, I guess, the pronunciation of that. Namates. So that's starting, and also you have the first fruits. So because God spent 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the beast, or in wherever he was, and then he rose from the dead on the 3rd day, and that's when first fruits is, which is, so 3 days after the 22nd, so that's like what, the 25th. So that's first fruits. So that's all happening this week. And other places, and I mean, it alludes to the blood of the sacrifice. We are not to drink the blood. The blood is the lifeblood. The blood is also connected to the soul. So you're not allowed to drink the blood or have anything to do with the blood. Satanists and Freemasons and those other people, I can't think of that. They drink the blood. What is that place called? The place where the owl is. They drink blood and they do sacrifices unto Baal, which is the devil. In Deuteronomy 16:3, you shall eat no leavened bread with it. In 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread with it. That is the bread of affliction, that you may remember the day in which you came out of the land of Egypt. So that's Deuteronomy 16:3. And because they, so basically what happens in Exodus, we know that they fled from Egypt, and they were being sought after by Pharaoh, because his heart was hardened, and so he went after them. So out of the land of Egypt. So that's how leavening came about. But remember how I said leavening is also, there are two things that leaven can do. There's a leavening of iniquity, which is leavening that can come in and affect the whole lump, that is like sin coming in our life. Think of like pollution or dye. Like if you have like a clear glass of water and you drop of any type of like colored solution, you know that it will alter the way the water looks. So, and that's what leavening does. Leavening is sin. It's malice and other things that come into our lives. Matthew 13:33 is a parable, and it's the kingdom of heaven is like leaven, which a woman took and hid 3 measures of meal till it was all leaven, and it was zyme, Z-Y-M-E, or Z-Y-M-O-O. So we're talking. So there are definitely two different words with the word leaven in it. Nalmates, which is this one, and then you have zymu, zyme and zymu. And basically, it's caused to ferment or leaven. So basically, leavening, what it does in respects to cooking, it makes the bread rise, and it makes it so, and it can mix with the whole entire batch. And what you do is you get all the ingredients and you stir it up and that type of thing. But Galatians 5:9, and we're going to go into 1 Corinthians 5:6. Words refer to saving power of the gospel, which from a small beginning will gradually pervade and transform the whole human race. And it also is talked about in Luke 13:21. So Luke 13:22 and through 28, it talks about the narrow path. There are very few people that find the narrow path, and the heaven is like a mustard seed. It is like leaven, because it can start small, and it can cause a great harvest of souls. When people hear the gospel, it causes them to change. And then there's the workers of iniquity, because there's also, during that, it says, I never knew you, you're workers of iniquity. Well, while going through this, I found out what workers of iniquity are, because it says, because they go in and they say, hey, well, we prayed for you, we knew you, we did all this for you, and then it says, be away from me, workers of iniquity. Well, I mean, that verse scared me for a long time, but after seeing this, my thoughts kind of changed, because workers of iniquity, it says unrighteousness by which others are deceived, treachery. So basically, workers of iniquity are basically altering what God said. They're using the Bible and not really claiming that Jesus like walked on the ground, and they're claiming all these different things. So So that what is what a worker of iniquity is. But 1 Corinthians 5:64, our glorifying is not good. Do you not know that a little leaven leavens a whole lump? Hello. Therefore purge out all the old leaven, that you may be a new lump. Christ our Passover was sacrificed for us. Therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, nor with leaven of malice or wickedness, but with sincerity and truth. So notice how it says we're supposed to keep, it says our Passover, Christ our Passover. So he's the Passover lamb, so we're supposed to keep the Passover. Yet, I don't know how many pastors, well, all of them, have said, do not keep the feast. And here, that's 1 Corinthians, so that's in the New Testament, and here we are saying, we should keep the Passover, because he was sacrificed for us. God was the sacrificial lamb. He took all the sins of everyone on him, and was the sacrifice once and for all. And it says keep the feast, not with old leaven. Old leaven is basically with our old sins, our old ways, and everything we did previously. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a great this is what I like about Colorado, is you can see how it's lit up. I mean, that's only part of it, but you can see how the clouds are all pink and whatever. So yes, but basically, I mean, these passages tell us to not that we should preach upon the gospel, that we should try to get people to turn, but if they're going to stay on their course and stay with their old ways, then you're going to have to basically, because it says in several places that we're to shake off our feet and keep going a different way. And so, but leavening is, I mean, it's a cooking agent, but the thing is what God did is he took scenarios that were familiar to them in the Old Testament. Like they were very familiar with cooking with leaven. They were familiar with all this stuff, and so what he does is in the parables he refers to agricultural scenarios and everyday life scenarios, so they can understand and see the word for themselves and be able to interpret and to keep the way of truth. And leaven, I think I was put off by leavening until now because God wanted me to talk about the feasts. But these feasts are important. They are God's covenant with us, and we're supposed to keep them. They are eternal feasts. And in heaven, we're going to be celebrating these feasts. I mean, they've celebrated Passover for a very long time. Passover was in Egypt. They did the Passover lamb. That was the core part of their thing. And then Jesus himself became the Passover lamb, and here we are making other celebrations and that's the leavening that he's talking about. The leaven that he's talking about, it's like what's happened is someone slightly alters the word, and then it's like we keep reading it at home until we think that, oh well, that must be the real case. And think how long the devil has had to do that with us. He's had 6,000 years to take the word of God and to alter it. And there were people that have believed him, and then there are people that fought back. I'm one of those that fight back. But these are all different verses on leavening. But you need to get rid of the leaven. You need to figure out a way of going back to God. And God says, if you mess up, come to me and repent, and I'll get rid of it. However, most pastors now say, oh well, once saved is always saved, which is crap. Why? I mean, if that were true, then why is there the backsliding person? Why does God specifically talk on what he doesn't allow in heaven. Like, he doesn't allow iniquity, what he doesn't allow malice, he doesn't allow sexual immorality, he doesn't allow all these things. So if you keep doing these things, why would God say, oh, well, okay, well, because of Jesus, I'm going to allow you into heaven? He's not going to do that. You have to get rid of your sin before you go to him. It even says if you have anything against your neighbor or your friend or coworker or whatever, to go and deal with it before going to him. You are not to um, tithe or worship or do anything until you have settled those accounts. Sin is very serious in God's eyes. If heaven allowed sin into heaven, if then it wouldn't be heaven. Heaven is a place where there is no iniquity, there is no crying, there is no wickedness, there is no evil, and that's why he had to kick the 1/3 of people out of heaven. That's because they sinned big time, and so they've gotten rid of them. So just be very careful, and you need to read the Bible for yourself. This is another reason why, if you don't know what leavening is and what sins and stuff are in the Bible, then you're going to mess up. So it's very important that you go and look at the Bible, because if you don't know the Bible, then you don't know that you're messing up. So just be very aware. Anything else? But you need to get right with God now. If you think that just because he died on the cross that you're going to heaven, you're full of crap. If you think that there is no heaven or hell, you're full of crap. Everything points to God. I mean, these plants, the dogs that are over here, and everything points to the hand of God. I mean, that sunset that you saw, that's him showing himself. Even though I didn't have a very good viewpoint of it, but everything, this doesn't get made happenstance. All these interconnected things where trees provide the oxygen that we breathe, and then we provide the CO2 that they breathe, we're all interconnected. You cannot go from a single cell to a multicellular thing just by happenstance. Evolution is a complete fallacy. Geology is a complete fallacy. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully you got something out of this. But yes, the Feast of Unleavened Bread starts, was that Tuesday? So yes, please try. I mean, at the least you can do is try to eat just unleavened bread. It's really simple. It's just like you mix oil. It's like a cup of oil, a cup of water, and then with 4 cups of flour, and then like a teaspoon of salt, and then you like mix the batter, and then you make these bakes. You flatten these out, and you can actually you can make like fajita style kind of things. But they're not bad. They taste like biscuits. I've had them before. But if you want the recipe, just message me and I can show you how to make them. But thank you for joining me. But yes, please go to God, because we are. He's judging people right and left, and he's right now dividing between the wheat and the tares. And wheat is basically his people, which are very few, and the tares are basically everything. Tares are like leavening. Tares have been planted by the devil in order to get us off track. So please go to God. You have very little time, and so there's not anything more I can say. God bless you all, but yes, you need to turn to God now. You need to go to the Bible. You need to read it for yourself, and do not rely on anyone or anything out there claiming this, that, or the other. Go to the Word of God and see what it says. God bless.